Jennifer's vacation is for writing serenity. Jennifer stops at a gas station to seek directions when she gets lost. Johnny, an attendant, directs her there. Jennifer accidentally presses her panic button, scaring Johnny. His buddies Andy and Stanley giggle as he spills a pail of fluid. Johnny looks embarrassed as Jennifer drives off. Jennifer arrives at the cabin, her home for months, after a lengthy drive. She promptly unpacks, ready to move. After days of book writing, Jennifer rests by the lake the next day. She ignores strange sounds. The sounds return, making her nervous. Jennifer checks the shed across the way and discovers only poison vials. She washes her clothing after spilling her drink. An unknown individual is surreptitiously filming her half naked. The next day, she runs into the woods and finds an abandoned cottage. Jennifer peeks inside out of curiosity. She keeps going because nothing interests her. She calls Matthew, a plumber, after finding her sink and toilet blocked at home. He stutters due to mental illness. Jennifer kisses Matthew after he restores her bathroom. Shy Matthew flushes and hurries out. Andy, Stanley, and Johnny like killing birds in the woods. Stanley, who loves randomness, records the savagery. Matthew comes shortly after and tells the group about Jennifer kissing him. Johnny doubts him, but Stanley proves it by presenting a video of her in underpants. Jennifer is concerned by the scary home sounds at night. She discovers just a dead bird outside her door. She sees the group picture on her laptop when she returns inside. She is horrified until she realizes they are inside. Johnny, Stanley, and Andy harass Jennifer, scaring her. Johnny brings Matthew inside to join their plot when Stanley calls. Johnny leads the others in threatening and drinking Jennifer. Johnny becomes angrier when she refuses, forcing her to comply. He then pulls Jennifer closer and asks for her teeth. Johnny draws a revolver and kisses Jennifer. While Johnny watches, Andy does the same with booze. Jennifer pepper sprays Stanley after hitting Andy's leg. She can flee to safety in the woods. Jennifer and Earl encounter Sheriff Storch. Jennifer tells the guys tearfully about her previous attack. Storch's badge reassures her that she is protected. The sheriff tells Earl to go home because he will take Jennifer to the cabin. Storch then drives Jennifer back to the cabin to face the gang. He boldly shoves them out while searching the cabin. Storch discovers Jennifer's joint and smashed beer bottle. Despite her pleadings, he interrogates Jennifer. He thinks she should not lie about the guys he has known since childhood. Storch then pats Jennifer while facing the window. As the lads enter, he unlawfully touches her, exposing Storch as the group's collaborator. Storch instructs Jennifer to kneel with a shotgun. Johnny lifts her up and orders Matthew to undress. Jennifer is at risk of death with 5 callous guys. Matthew forces himself on Jennifer while Stanley records. Jennifer escapes the cabin despite being weak. She finds the gang again in the woods and suffers more. Andy submerges Jennifer's head twice in a puddle. Storch strips and forces himself on her while she lies on the ground. Jennifer wakes up covered in mud when the men turn on her. Jennifer rises again to search the woods for aid. She reaches the bridge as the 5 guys pursue her, still unhinged by her ordeal. Jennifer jumps into the river just before Storch shoots her, disappearing. They cannot find her corpse. Instead, they erase evidence, notably Stanley's recordings. Storch arrives home to his wife and kid, Chastity, after a busy day. He stays home without regret, as if nothing had occurred. The following day, Storch brings the cabin keys to Earl's store, stating that Jennifer fled without warning. The gang lives normally for weeks. Matthew is the only one who regrets staying in the woods. He sees Jennifer eerily gazing at him. Matthew hides his eyes in terror and thinks Jennifer is haunting him. Stanley runs toward Andy and Johnny as they drink. He worriedly tells the voice that his camera was taken and that he retained the problematic footage. Johnny rages and beats Stanley for putting them in danger. Johnny hears sounds outside and finds a dead bird on his doorstep that night. He starts it before entering. He returns inside and hears it again, bringing a rifle. The dead bird appears again on his doorstep, unidentified. Johnny runs outside to discover Jennifer's shoe on the porch and attempts to track the sound again, but he fails. When Storch gets home, his wife tells him a delivery has arrived. He is pleased that his wife and daughter have not seen Stanley's tape. Storch races to meet the apprehensive group. Storch immediately threatens Stanley, believing he is pranking him. Johnny presents the slipper to protect his pal, accusing Matthew of everything. Storch gives Earl booze and shoots him while hunting. Earl observes Storch take Jennifer back to the cabin, making him a suspect. Matthew contemplates his activities in the cabin. Jennifer's voice calls him inside. Falling down the stairs knocks him unconscious. He awakens to discover Jennifer seated on the sofa. He sits near Jennifer and apologizes. Matthew clings to her in remorse, crying. Jennifer soothes him, then ties a noose around his neck. Despite gasping, Matthew apologizes, but Jennifer says it is not enough. The gang searches the woods for Matthew when evidence resurfaces. Andy and Stanley find him in an abandoned cabin after several minutes. Stanley searches for Matthew as Andy enters. He is shocked to find Jennifer smirking at him. Stanley jumps on her bear trap and cries for Andy, who is batted. Jennifer smacks Stanley, knocking them out. Jennifer ties Stanley to a tree and films him. She throws a dead rodent in his mouth, making him puke. Jennifer sets up the camera and uses fish hooks to keep his eyes open. Jennifer guts a fish and covers Stanley's face while filming. Crows peck him after smelling the fish's intestines. He bleeds to death when the birds devour his eyes. Andy wakes up bound to planks above a bathtub in the rundown cabin. As Jennifer checks on him, the tub starts filling. Andy begs her to let him go, but she wants to torment him as she did. Jennifer repeatedly submerges his head in water before adding lye and removing a board. Andy must struggle to keep upright but falls into the water. Andy's face burns, killing him. The next day, Jennifer visits Johnny's patrol station. She assaults him in a short skirt. She returns him to the cottage to wreak havoc. Johnny awakens naked, bound to the ceiling. Jennifer rips out his teeth with pliers, revealing his faults. Jennifer puts a pistol to Johnny's lips, as he did to her. He laughs, agitating Jennifer. She chops Johnny's privates with hedge clippers and puts them in his mouth. He dies screaming. Jennifer's last objective is Storch. The sheriff's family calls to say Chastity's instructor is at their house. Jennifer's phone greeting stuns Storch. He rushes home to see Chastity and Jennifer. Storch enters an empty playground without his daughter. He panics and goes back to the patrol vehicle, where Jennifer knocks him out. He wakes up in the cabin with a weapon within him. Jennifer brazenly discusses how great Chastity is and how he might abuse a lady. She pushes the weapon further, bringing the sheriff unspeakable anguish. Jennifer says Matthew is alive but unconscious across the room. If Matthew moves, the trigger string around his wrist will murder both men. Jennifer rejects Storch's plea for his life. Jennifer leaves the cabin, unperturbed by his screams. Matthew awakens, asking Storch to calm him. However, Matthew's mental handicap prompts him to panic and accidentally shoot them. Outside, Jennifer celebrates her retribution. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Dot is deaf and mute. Disability keeps her alone. Since her single father died, Dot's godmother's family has cared for her. Her new godsister, Nina, does not detest Dot since she has never had a sibling. Nina is renowned at school while Dot is an outcast. Nina and her cruel dancers mock Dot about her illness in the opening scene. The guidance director asks Dot to lunch after seeing this. Dot says no and flees to a school restroom stall, her favorite location. She feels protected and less lonely by herself. Nina grabs her in a fury to go home. Nina's mom, Olivia, encourages her to make Dot feel at home, but she does not care. She does not owe Dot anything since she did not take her in. Paul, Nina's dad, discovers Olivia asleep in the living room. She is depressed and an alcoholic. Because of her medications, Paul puts her to bed. When he returns to supper, the girls are uncomfortably silent. He proposes learning sign language for Dot to reduce stress, but Nina cuts him off and leaves. Nina and her pals discuss things again during lunch the following day. Michelle, Nina's friend, mocks her virginity and 17-year-old age. She can date any man, but she is shy. Dot plays piano in the school's vacant music room. She can still play since she practiced while she could hear. Famous Connor hears her play and falls in love. He stares at her until his buddy advises him to stop. Dot sees Nina again in the restroom. Nina forces her to wear lipstick. Just when Dot believes they should come closer, she glances in the mirror and sees Nina dab lipstick around her lips on purpose. Dot misses her father and cannot sleep. She walks outside for air and finds Nina's bedroom door open. She sees Nina and her father Paul in bed. She hurries to her room, disturbed by what she finds. The next day during supper, Nina begs her parents if she may stay at Michelle's. Olivia advises her to depart despite Paul's objections. Nina rubs her foot on Paul's leg beneath the table to persuade him to release her. Paul persists. She contacts Michelle after his silence indicates agreement. Olivia's constant disagreements annoy Paul. He fights briefly before leaving. When Olivia is alone, Dot writes a message asking to go to the movies. Dot accepts Paul's offer of a ride. Nina and her companions in the theater's middle row are alone. The others stop Connor from talking to Dot when he sees her alone. Nina sympathizes with her but behaves indifferently. Dot watches her fall while she shuts her ears to be deaf. She pauses when Dot looks down at her. Dot thinks about Nina all night. When Paul descends, she seems asleep. He strokes her hair and claims to be ill. He appears to realize he is hurting his daughter, yet he cannot stop. He took Dot in, hoping she would keep him out of Nina's room, but it did not work. Next, Dot plays the piano alone at home. Nina watches her play from the corridor after school unaware. Dot curses when a piano wire breaks. Nina gasps as she realizes Dot has been listening. She lies and claims she just got home. The next day, Nina meets Dot for lunch. Nina tells Dot about her father's secret moment. Dot looks confused at her. She is testing Dot, but she is calm. She claims she will murder Paul at night with Michelle's pistol before leaving. She still does not get Dot's attention, but she is worried she is speaking the truth. She plays piano in the music room to forget Nina. She sees Connor peering at her through the door again. He prevents her from leaving when she feels uncomfortable. He invites her out to work on lab research. She reveals to him that the report is done, ruining his plan. The family is eating supper when Connor unexpectedly comes to the door. He invites Dot to discuss the lab report at the library. As Michelle enters, she reluctantly accepts. Nina mentioned Michelle's pistol, so Dot worries she is attempting to murder Paul. Dot and Connor are in a restaurant next. After briefly discussing the findings, he tells her how he feels about her. He imagines having sex with her. He believes she cannot hear him. Dot fears Nina did something horrible as an ambulance approached her home. She rushes home to find everyone safe. She then hears Paul undressing Nina. Dot damages a statue for Nina, who seems fed up with her dad. Paul retires to his room since the noise ends the thrill. Dot slips in and holds Nina as she falls asleep. Nina talks to Dot while ironing her cheerleading costume in the following scene. She burns a toy bear's face to prove she would murder Paul with the iron that night. Dot believes Nina is unaware of her hearing. Thus, she denies hearing her idea. Later, Nina and Michelle support the school basketball team. The coach benched Connor after a few minutes due to his poor play. Connor and Dot swim after the game. Connor talks about his sexual life. Thinking she cannot hear him, Dot abruptly removes her top and makes love by the pool. Olivia advises Nina and Connor at home. She angers Paul by dressing her daughter like a harlot. Olivia undresses and wants Connor to sleep with her, but Connor is no longer interested. Nina arrives home after midnight, exhausted from cheering all day. Paul gives her a pocketbook and attempts to get close. Olivia moves about her room awake. She does nothing to stop her spouse, even though she seems to know. Nina's request to shut his eyes surprises Paul. When he does as she says, she brings a hot iron. Dot arrives home just in time to stop him from burning his face. Nina leaves, claiming pregnancy. Paul is petrified of parenthood. He gives Nina $1,000 for an abortion the following day. Nina then tells Dot she cannot murder him. The school dance is tomorrow. Nina lends Dot a dress. She tells the girls she lied about being pregnant while getting ready. She hopes to depart with $1,000. She hopes to earn a lot of money stripping in the new city. After telling the truth, she put lipstick on Dot again without clowning her up. Later, Paul discovers tampons in Nina's purse. He thinks she is lying about being pregnant since she has not had her period in 6 weeks. He presents the tampon and asks her to explain. He rejects Nina's lies. He hits her face and tries to get near her. Olivia ignores her daughter's anguished cries. Dot hears the screaming and wailing. She stops playing, pulls a piano wire out, and goes to her room. She ties Paul up with wire and shouts at him to leave Nina alone. She pauses, and he dies. Nina's astonished. Olivia rants at Dot for murdering her dad. Dot's speech surprises her more than her husband's death. Michelle rings the doorbell simultaneously to pick them up for the school dance. The females immediately changed and bagged their bleeding garments. To seem normal, they carry the bag to school. Dot dances with Connor at school, but she is distracted. She conceals the bag in the bathroom during the party. Olivia stares blankly at Paul's corpse in the bedroom. She was over him. Long time. She wishes she had saved her daughter from him. When Dot turns around, Connor is startled. She hears him. He also discovers that she knows everything unpleasant about him. She lied and invaded his privacy, so he believes she is insane. Dot apologizes, but is rebuffed. She concentrates on other things since she knows he will not give her a chance. She takes Nina from the lavatory to a nearby brook. They buried the garments in bag to dispose of the corpse later. Nina inquires about Dot's deafness. Dot claims she wanted to be like her deaf, silent father. The girls rush home and discover the ultimate surprise. Olivia is handcuffed as police surround their residence. Olivia tells them she murdered Paul. She apologizes to Nina too. Nina understands why she must apologize even if the police suspect she murdered her father. The girls watch as Oliva is driven away by the police in the last scene. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Ben Willis, a boring art student, dates Susie until he breaks up with her. Ben compares the split to a car crash. Susie exploded when she learned he wanted to split up. Ben was upset when Susie sought consolation from Steve after their breakup. Ben observes Susie and her new partner as he heads to a cafeteria seat alone for lunch. Seeing his buddy, questions him about Susie. Ben said Susie was constantly seeking a better party or lover to move on to. Ben left her because he could not make her happy. Sean advises Ben to date a model or gorgeous girl. He believes Susie would be envious if Ben dated an attractive model. Ben doubts this advice because he recalls all the women who rejected Sean. Later, Ben attends a painting class. He sketches a class posing nude male in one. He sees a gorgeous girl across the room while painting. Ben is captivated by her, sketching her jawline, lips, and huge blue eyes. His art instructor reminds him that it would be disrespectful not to sketch the voluntarily nude model in front of him. Ben struggles with the breakup throughout the following several days. He cannot sleep and has all day to ponder his broken love for Susie. Ben feels even more alone when he hears people making love through his college dorm walls. Ben calls Susie out of guilt. Susie rejected his attempts to reconcile. Ben's depression worsens. Ben keeps himself occupied throughout the day and at night over the following 2 nights. Ben finds a food shop late at night. Ben reads a grocery store ad for night shift workers. Ben finally discovered an excellent nighttime activity. Ben gets a boss interview quickly. Sainsbury's supermarket will hire him. Ben's life will alter when Jenkins shakes his hand. Ben spent the night staring at a spilled bag of peas. Jenkins instructs him to stop staring at the peas. Ben wakes up, but a lovely lady looking for something with her shorts up distracts him. Ben contemplates his passion for painting ladies. He believed the female body had untapped potential. Ben cleans up the peas after Jenkins hits him in the head. Ben watches his colleagues waste time while he adjusts to his new job. Sharon Pinty, the checker, never glances at the clock. Barry Brickman approaches it differently. Brick knows everything except work. His pal Matt Stevens also does dumb things. They joke about putting a nice adult toy in a woman's shopping basket. Barry and Matt were curious whether each lady purchased the adult toy at the register. It would make some of them smile to purchase it. Only Jenkins, their employer, does nothing to kill time. Jenkins spent his time talking about himself to bored coworkers. Night shift workers' oddest pastime is Ben's. When depressed, Ben shuts off the world. He feels time is frozen. He halts everything to execute his will. Ben begins thinking about how much he appreciates women's looks. When Ben was young, his family hosted a Swedish exchange student. The lady strolled from the shower to her room without clothing since Swedish culture is open-minded. Ben considered it half wrong. He often appreciated the woman's physique for its beauty. This inspired Ben to become a painter. Ben saw gorgeous ladies at the shop without clothing in his pause time. He sketched their nude bodies along each aisle, emphasizing their attractiveness. Ben could just snap his fingers to reset time. Sean visits Ben in the morning. Ben recalls being 5 with Sean. Sean and his brother went shopping without their mom one day. Sean wanted to show Ben his parents' nasty magazines. Ben was perplexed by the women's bold nude poses. Sean's mother entered the room unexpectedly. Sean hurriedly placed the magazines back in the drawer, and the 2 lads approached Sean's mother, being rough without intending to. Sean's parents assumed he and his pal were homosexual. When Ben arrives in the morning, Sean orders him to locate more Natalies. Sean considers Natalie a one-night stand. Sean discovered as a child that most women in nasty publications were paid to be nude. Dirty magazines originated here. Sean gave a lot of money to Natalie after learning this. Sean would see Natalie's privates. After liking Natalie, the local men queued up with money. Sharon meets Ben in the locker room during another night shift. Sharon bites into Ben's sandwich. She is lovely. Sharon's face is pickled. She misses Ben as he uncomfortably instructs her to brush it off. Before Sharon departs, Ben tenderly wipes her face. Ben wants to freeze time for a week, but can only slow it down. Ben is saddened to learn Matt asked Sharon out. Ben then notes that crush may indicate both love and grief. Ben lists his crushes. His favorite was Tanya Green. Tanya suffered a grade school accident that cast her left arm. Ben found Tanya's group management highly intriguing. Tanya's friends teased her when her cast came off because her arm hairs had grown out. Ben comforted her while she wept. Thus, Ben began dating Tanya. Ben advised Tanya to wait before kissing for the first time one day. Since Tanya, her parents, and Tanya went to America the following day, Ben would always regret this. After a humiliating 26-0 defeat, Ben's employer, Jenkins, organizes a weekend football game for the workers. Matt's throw smacks Jenkins in the face. Matt takes Jenkins, who is bleeding, to the hospital. The squad leaves Ben and Sharon alone. Ben and Sharon learn about each other at a local restaurant. Ben learns Matt did not sleep with Sharon there. Ben and she then share their aspirations. Sharon had always wanted to meet a painter because she believes they would see beauty in everything, which she finds lovely. That night, they liked each other. Ben uncomfortably kisses Sharon on the cheek while walking her home. Jenkins announces a birthday celebration the next day, inviting everyone. Sharon invites Ben to be her party date, and Ben is delighted. Ben gets a stripper at his birthday party as a surprise from Jenkins. Ben will drive Scene to the party if Scene helps him. Scene hires a stripper at a bar with Ben. Ben just thought of Sharon while there. He imagines Sharon in the dark corner with just a shining pole to guide her. Sharon dances around the pole and stares at Ben in a tight black dress. Ben's mesmerized. Sharon asks Ben the night before the party whether he will attend with her. Sharon kisses Ben upon acceptance. That kiss was the only thing that put Ben to sleep. Ben sleeps until the afternoon after 4 weeks awake. A guy calls Ben to exhibit his paintings in a gallery. Sadly, Matt and Brick are up to their antics again. Ben claims he no longer thinks about Susie or the gorgeous ladies at work. Sharon consumes him. Because of her beauty, he continues drawing Sharon into a timeless universe. Everyone is preparing for the celebration tonight. Ben brings Sharon up from her apartment and joyfully informs her about the gallery's offer. Sharon celebrates with him during the celebration. The celebration started before Ben and Sharon arrived. Jenkins is jaying, Matt and Brick are dancing, and Scene gets rejected again. Ben is surprised to see Susie at the party and learns that Steve, Susie's boyfriend, is Jenkins' brother. Ben and Sharon keep partying after a strange talk with Susie. The stripper appears unexpectedly. She lap dances in front of Jenkins. Post-dance, the female approaches Scene. Natalie, the stripper, is Scene's childhood buddy. Hello. And they get along immediately. Susie approaches Ben in the upstairs bathroom queue. Jenkins is also attempting to get close to Sharon below. Brick plans to ride a box down the stairs. On the stairs, everyone watches Brick. Susie kisses Ben to reconcile. Brick was going to tumble down the stairs, so Sharon checked the top level. Sharon is furious to witness Ben and Susie kissing. Ben pulls Susie aside and races to Sharon, who is leaving and going for the door. Ben freezes time again and realizes he cannot undo what occurred. Ben leaves Sharon after 2 days. Ben rushes to Sharon's place to explain, but she is so furious she cannot see. Ben sleeps poorly for a few days after leaving her apartment. Ben seldom sees Sharon at work either. Ben visits the art museum Matt and Brick call from. He realizes he has been duped when the art business owner denies a meeting. Before leaving, the owner notices Ben's Sharon doodles. Ben gets a gallery night when the owner is intrigued. Sharon is invited to Ben's A Frozen Second art display. She visits the exhibition despite being upset with Ben. That night, she is astonished to see all the art about her. Hundreds of drawings depict her. Sharon looks awestruck. Ben looks at her. When Ben attempts to explain what occurred at the party again, Sharon advises him not to. The art display speaks volumes. After kissing Sharon, time freezes again, but Ben and Sharon may move in the frozen world. Sharon and Ben walk through 1,000 snowflakes. The lovers kiss again in timelessness. Ben thinks about how love is always there if you seek it and how sometimes you have to pause or you could miss it. The end. Hi sexy. Come and watch till the end. 6-year-old Jackson loves his friend. He gives her a marriage certificate to sign. He offers her 2 movie tickets to marry him if she rejects them. She signs the documents but dates another guy with the tickets. 5 older sisters overprotect Jackson. Seeing him distraught, they pledge to shield him from women for life. 15 years afterwards, Jackson is gorgeous but gets little privacy from his sisters. We meet his 5 sisters. Lily, the youngest, is his classmate. Violet is a club archer. She regularly manipulates Jackson. Heaven hacks computers. She hacks the school security to watch her brother. Melody, Jackson's second oldest sister, teaches high school. Sarah is the oldest. Everyone fears her quick temper. Their parents split years ago, leaving the daughters to raise their brother and each other. Jackson is bored of his sisters following him around at school. He hides in a camouflage costume his pal produces. Jackson hides in a girl's shower locker. Meng, a fresh girl, discovers him and leads him to academic activities. Jackson enjoys misbehaving as long as his sisters do not know. After school, he cautiously heads home, hoping Melody was not notified. He expresses satisfaction when no one discusses the day's events. Melody quietly mentions him in the ladies' locker room during supper. Sarah's crimson face draws attention. They pull Jackson across the floor next. He is hanging upside down and asks why he is in the female locker room. To avoid heartbreak, the girls ban him from talking to women. They believe the extreme way is best for Jackson, but he disagrees. He finally responds by saying he needs to date a woman. Sarah calmly challenges him to find a partner that matches all his sisters' energy. Jackson accepts the challenge. He posted a girlfriend ad the following morning. His buddy recommends talking to Meng, the new lady who appears to want to assist everyone. Meng helps people with unnecessary tasks in a montage. Jackson agrees to date her despite his inexperience with females. Thus, his wingman brags about Jackson to Meng. He mentions all his sisters' abuse and labels Jackson a victim. Meng sympathizes with the stories. She approaches Jackson to make acquaintances but decides not to look at him. Someone announces that a wild bear attacked the kids. Jackson saves everyone, but the bear is a plush toy. He is hospitalized when the toy pushes him down the stairs. Jackson awakens in a hospital bed with Meng. He gets extra time with Meng even if the plan fails. She befriends him. 2 of Jackson's sisters come and taunt him for not taking care of himself. Meng scolds them. She calls herself Jackson's girlfriend, shocking the females. Jackson jumps in astonishment. His sisters casually inquire whether he has a girlfriend at home. He smirks and does not answer. Until his oldest sister Sarah questions him about Meng. The sisters again bind him upside down, doubting he'll get a girlfriend in a day. The girls do not believe Jackson's love at first sight claim. They evaluate Meng's suitability for their brother. Violet, Melody, and Lily attack school the next day. Jackson prevents Violet's arrow from hitting Meng while they are together. Meng deems the girls cruel. They confront each other. Lily intervenes when Violet's technique fails. She blackmails all the attractive boys in school to ask Meng out. She fails to win Meng over to Jackson. Jackson rescues Meng. Violet shoots again as they rush down the passage. This time she throws a bomb. It explodes midair, mercifully without harming anybody. A guy prepares new explosives in a chemical lab as everyone is puzzled about the incident. He protected Meng from Violet for unknown reasons. Jackson and Meng eat popsicles on the deck after the accident. Jackson discovers that Meng is pretending to be his girlfriend because she believes his sisters want his organs. He avoids correcting her to keep her in the dark. Lily and Violet shamefully accept defeat at home. Heaven, a computer expert, destroys Meng. She lies about Meng being a bad person by collecting random CCTV videos from school. The power goes out before she posts it online. The chemist is outside their home. He cut the electricity to rescue Meng, but his motives remain unclear. The 3 unsuccessful sisters kneel before Melody, the second oldest, inside the home. She must eliminate Meng. She challenges Meng to a sports competition tomorrow. They compete in gazing and goldfish collection. Melody triumphs and humiliates Meng. Sarah, the oldest sister, comes just before the last round. She introduces herself and challenges Meng to a hammer throw. They must toss the hefty metal ball far. Sarah hovers over the ball. She takes another ball from the stand to toss. A key emerges from the ball, indicating that it was laced with an explosive that would detonate soon. Meng grabs the ball from Sarah and throws it. Sarah discovers she survived as it explodes. The other sisters appreciate her once she likes Meng. Jackson thanks God for Meng. A Jackson-Meng montage follows the scene. After numerous dates, they become genuine. They grow to like each other. They enjoy a lovely night together on a deserted beach. They play fight and cuddle in the morning. The chemist keeps watching them. He is furious at the embrace but does not act. Jackson and Lily are at school the following day. Lily opens an exploding lunchbox. A huge explosion rattles the school. Jackson is OK, but Lily needs CPR to wake up. Everyone survived the chemical blast. Meng sees Jackson and his sisters huddled in terror and knows they adore each other. Jackson follows her away. Meng overlooks him and the fact that he might have perished sooner when they collide. Jackson does not ask her what is wrong. Meng has realized that Jackson and his sisters only began suffering after she started seeing him. She feels she brings bad luck and stays away. Jackson keeps calling her, but she ignores him. The town rained fiercely one night. Jackson watches the flood news at home. He last saw Meng at the school, waiting for the rain to cease. He runs to school and finds her stumbling in the rain. Jackson embraces her, imploring her to return to her regular self. But Meng unwillingly pulls him away. She wants him to remain away until she transfers schools again. A hurt all night, Jackson reigns. He hears someone coming from behind in the morning. He embraces Meng. The guy has been making bombs until now. He kidnaps Jackson. The school has a celebration that night. While Meng pouts, everyone enjoys the performance. Jackson's absence tensions the sisters. They locate his phone while pursuing him. A mysterious masked guy enters the stage after fireworks. He kidnapped Jackson and chained him to a rocket he promised would fly away. He says he has no friends and is invisible. When asked why he hates, he was obsessed with Meng. Despite saving her from Jackson's sisters, Meng adored only Jackson. Thus, he seeks vengeance on Jackson for stealing his only happiness. The sisters, Meng, and several of Jackson's pals struggle to stop the rocket. It ceases briefly after their victory. Jackson tells Meng he loves her before flying. He jumps and explodes. Meng stands next to a grave. She gives flowers and praise. Jackson rushes into the screen, showing he was only hurt in the last collision and his oak save for a broken hand. The long-dead Meng's mother is buried there. In the last scene, the sisters torment Jackson as usual. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. A man sits in his pickup on a wet night. He puts away his wedding ring, lights a match, and gets out of the vehicle with a gas canister and a hammer, showing his anger. He frightens the insiders who hurry to help. Andy, her lawyer and closest friend, awakens Rachel from her sofa nap. He informs her that her soon-to-be ex-husband wants her home and they should protest. Rachel stops talking when her son instructs her to get dressed. Kyle and his uncle Fred are in the dining room, chatting with his elderly mother. The news is discussing the prior horrific incident, stating, Fred and Kyle chat as Rachel searches for candy cane scissors. Fred's girlfriend joins them at the table and they discuss their money issues, notably the expense of nursing home care for their mother. Kyle and she depart in their ancient, broken-down automobile. They debated using the highway amid traffic. Even though her son claims they will be late, Mom takes the expressway. Her kid happily answers her husband's phone as she is driving. Rachel's fired, the son teases her to cheer her up, then suggests they take the next exit from the freeway and go through the service streets coming out of the freeway. They stop at a red light behind a gray pickup that does not move as the light changes, so she honks and drives around him on the next light. The man who set the house on fire pulls up next to their car and asks them to roll their windows down, which Kyle does. Rachel and the guy had an uncomfortable back and forth, with him belittling her and then apologizing, expecting her to do the same. When she snaps back, he becomes rattled and furious, telling her that she will learn what a terrible day truly means. Kyle is afraid and wants her to leave, but the guy follows them and cuts them off again. Rachel takes another route and gets Kyle to school late, calling Andy to meet her for breakfast in 20 minutes despite her low gas. Rachel stops at a gas station, sets the pump, and goes inside to get a few other things. When she goes to the cashier to pay, she sees the gray pickup parked behind her car. Worried, she tells the cashier and a guy standing in line next to her that the man in the pickup has been following her after an argument. The guy says he'll walk her out and get his plates as she fuels the tank and gets in the car. The guy tells her the man's plates. She drives off, and then the guy stays behind, telling the man and the pickup not to follow. Suddenly, the man rams him over into the street, and he gets hit by a second car while the pickup continues to chase after Rachel. She tries to lose him on the way, but they get stuck in a traffic jam again with him right behind her. He rams in her car, over and over, but no one reacts. They start driving again, and Rachel can't find her phone to call for help. The man pulls up next to her and shows her that he has her phone. She drives off, causing an accident on the way and almost running over a woman. Thinking she has finally lost him, she pulls up into a parking lot to hide and calm her nerves. Meanwhile, Andy is waiting for Rachel in a diner, calling her but getting only voicemail. The man with a pickup walks in and heads straight for Andy. He lies to him and says he's an old friend of Rachel's. He then sits down and chats him up. They talk about scary experiences with road rage and about Rachel's divorce. The man is defending her soon-to-be ex-husband. Andy gets uncomfortable, so the man lies and says he could get Rachel on the phone. He tells him to try. He gives him his own phone. Back at the parking lot, Rachel is looking for her tablet when she suddenly hears a ringing. She finds a phone and picks it up, even though it's not her phone. The man gives Andy his cell phone and he tells her that he's waiting for her in the diner with an old fiend of hers. She says she doesn't know anyone by the name given, and he turns the phone over to the man the moment she starts talking about him, calling him a psycho. Explaining what happened, he tells her that she needs to truly apologize to him in person, which alerts Andy that something isn't right, and he asks for his phone back. That's the moment when the man hits Andy with a cup, breaking his nose. Everyone in the diner gets upset, but no one helps when the man slams his head on the table, knocking him out. He puts Rachel on speaker and continues to talk to her, asking if Andy is really just her lawyer and friend, or if she's cheating on her husband with him just like his own wife did. He tells Rachel to say her last words to Andy as he chokes him and eventually stabs him, while the people in the diner still do nothing except film the situation. As the man is walking out of the diner, he tells Rachel that Andy is dead. She tries to plead with him and apologizes, but the man doesn't believe her and speeds away. The man calls her again from her own phone and starts reciting all the messages she's gotten, including one from her son's school. He starts toying with her and asking her to choose who he should kill next from her contact list. When she refuses, he sends all her money to her husband and threatens to go after her mom and to burn her house down. Rachel chooses herself, but he doesn't accept and asks for another name. She chooses the name of the client that fired her. He hangs up and Rachel immediately calls the police. They arrive at the house of her client, but the man isn't there. Back at the house, Fred is watching what happened in the diner on the news. There's a strange noise coming from the other room and his girlfriend doesn't respond to his calls. He goes to check on her, and on the way he sees the pickup parked before the house. The noises continue and it follows them with a knife on hand. The man appears holding his beaten-up girlfriend and telling him about what happened with Rachel. He says he feels insignificant and that the only thing he has left is violence and revenge, so he kills Fred's girlfriend and then sends Rachel a photo of him with her brother. The man calls her again and she tells him she called the police, which he already knows. He checks the tracker on Rachel's phone, sees that she's in front of Kyle's school, and tells her that she has 3 minutes to pick him up and drive away or he'll kill Fred. He tells Fred to write her a letter blaming her for his girlfriend's death, all the while pouring gasoline on him. Meanwhile, Rachel gets her son out of school. As they're driving away, she calls the man back telling him she is Kyle. The man tells her to put him on speaker or he'll light her brother on fire. He makes Fred read his letter, stating that Rachel is accountable for everything and that he will never see another Dawn. The guy hides behind Fred as a policeman enters the premises. He burns Fred and escapes, but the officer shoots him in the shoulder. Rachel stops the vehicle and cries as Kyle consoles her. He calls again to inform her that Fred is dead. He threatens Kyle, who breaks the phone. Kyle and her drive to the police station. Rachel's iPad may be following them. Kyle discovers it taped beneath her seat and wants to toss it away, but Rachel suggests tracking the guy with a tablet as he did it. Before Kyle knows, he is directly in front of them. Having taken her neighbor's vehicle, she orders him to put his seatbelt on. Kyle calls the police from the tablet, but they cannot assist. The tablet battery fails, leaving them alone. Rachel goes to her mother's home, where the neighborhood is intricate enough to slow him down. He speeds up with her, creating vehicle accidents. She fools him long enough to go to her mother's home and let Rachel and the guy emerge from concealment when the child makes a sound. Rachel attacks the guy to keep him from reaching Kyle. He knocks her down and strangles her son, but she kills him with candy cane scissors. The officer who discovered Fred tells Rachel and Kyle that Fred is alive when the cops come. Fred's residence. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Lauren Monroe, a prominent lawyer, appears first. She gently declines $1 million case to represent a criminal, citing her ethics. Lauren is a lawyer who prioritizes ethics before profit. Next, William Monroe, Lauren's younger brother, aspires to be mayor of New York. A reporter tells Lauren the awful news during a press briefing. Next, she is shocked. Lauren, William, their mother Catherine, Lauren's spouse Scott, and Claire attend the funeral. William tells Lauren that their father was proud of her thereafter. They discuss bringing their mother closer. Later, Lauren visits her father's office and recalls how he taught her chess, equating it to life. H.G., Monroe's attorney, comes a week later. Lauren receives $1 million, while William gets $20 million. Police and medical colleges get $50 million. Harold hands Lauren a gift and claims her father left it. She discovers a pen drive and keys inside. She watches her father advise her to speak the truth as she connects the pen drive to her laptop. Lauren discovers an entryway with a lock in the woods. The key from the previous item opens it, revealing steps to a basement. Lauren braves the dark bunker and discovers a guy shackled. When he moves, she flees. Lauren calls 911 at home, but her brother stops her. He wants to give her his portion since he feels awful about the money split. Lauren declines, stating that money is unimportant. Scott checked on her that night. She swears she is but sends him and Claire out, saying she needs alone time. She then examines her childhood photo. She returns to the bunker armed the following morning. This time, she notices the guy asleep and swiftly collects his fingerprints to identify him. She flees as the guy wakes up, but she returns wearing a mask and asks who he is. He seems to know her birth date, her brother's name, and that she married against her father's wishes. After so long in captivity, the guy tells her he feels like family. When she replies that she is a decent person, he encourages her to let him go because good people do. Lauren believes the guy deserves his incarceration, so she investigates. The guy initially orders steak, Caesar salad, and Goldwater, and he ignores Lauren's threat to leave him to die. Since he has the upper hand, she offers him a razor and leaves. When Lauren gets home, she sends the fingerprints to her detective friend Emilio, asking him to gather the information as soon as possible. Then she buys everything the man demanded and heads back to the bunker. After so many years, he finally receives the delicious food and begins to enjoy it with tears of joy. She also gives him a chocolate bar, which makes him cry. He tells her that her father used to bring him chocolate once. He then tells her his history. According to him, he met Archer 30 years ago, and they quickly became friends because they shared 3 vices: gambling, ego, and women. They became business partners, and one night, they had a few drinks together before driving back on their way, when Archer hit a pedestrian and killed him on the spot. Morgan wanted to call the police, but Archer insisted that if there was no body, he would bury it because there was no crime. Archer assaulted Morgan and locked him in the bunker because he was scared Morgan would report him to the authorities. Morgan also says Archer had an affair with Sophia, a lady unlike Catherine. Thus, Archer called her Gypsy. Rose. Lauren does not trust him, so he provides her with Sophie's address to verify. He advises her to ask Harold, since he keeps everything. Lauren is cool despite her incomprehension. She contacts Emilio to check on Morgan Warner. She meets Sophia at the designated location. Sophia tells Lauren that she met her father at a poker game. Lauren asks about a guy in a photo as they converse. Sophia introduces Alex, her son, and Lauren's half-brother. Lauren cries after hearing this. She later confronts Harold about keeping the family in the dark. Lauren begs the lawyer for more secrets. He assures her that nothing can injure her and that he will keep the remainder of the information private. He proposes, and she forgets it afterwards. Lauren later visits her mother, who is preparing for William's election. Morgan Warner is unfamiliar to her mother. William enters with a strained look, and Morgan is upset as he leaves the bunker for the first time in a long time. Scott, Lauren's husband, calls to ask where she has been. Lauren apologizes and hangs up, pledging reconciliation. She then drives Morgan in her direction. Morgan shows her the corpses once they arrive. Morgan smokes while digging. Lauren's greatest fears come true as she uncovers a human skull, proving Morgan was speaking the truth. She conceals the skull and returns Morgan to the bunker. She urges him to put the collar back on, but he begs her not to betray him, stating that as an honest lawyer, she should not be harsh like her father. Morgan then expresses his pain, saying he was unable to see her mother even at her funeral. He pleads with her to let him go because he wants to salvage what few years he has left and promises to vanish from their lives without causing them any harm. But Lauren apologizes to him and walks away with her eyes welling up. The next day, she visits her brother's office and asks him for advice, saying it is for one of her friends. William says he would dump his corpse in the river or hire thugs to make him vanish after some contemplation. Lauren goes to the bunker with a bag and makes Morgan promise that he will vanish forever, saying that he has been in this hell for longer than she has been alive and that once she releases him, he will never look back. Lauren agrees and asks him to clean himself, telling him that he will be released tonight. She then goes to Harold and asks him to arrange for $1 million and a jet to fly off someone who her father had wronged. Harold asks why in the following scene, but she will not say. Morgan leaves, but Lauren wonders whether her father has mentioned her. He thinks Archer was proud of her but disliked her going against his friends. Morgan reveals to Lauren that William paid the union representatives. Lauren is surprised and tells William immediately. Lauren disagrees with him, saying that bribing is necessary to advance. He claims their father paid individuals to gain her a district attorney post. She punches him and rushes out, demanding that he stop lying. Morgan exits holding a chess piece. He breathes fresh air and feels free when he walks outdoors. Lauren leads him to the private plane, where Harold hands him his new ID cards and informs him of his account balance. Harold and Morgan board the plane and Lauren cleans the bunker. She discovers poison beneath the bed, but does nothing since she believes everything is finished. Next, Emilio delivers Morgan's paperwork to Lauren's residence. At home, Catherine opens Lauren's box. As Lauren goes in and wonders why Catherine is staring at her work, her mother asks her in terror why she has a photo of Carson. Lauren calls him Morgan and admits that her father kept him in the bunker for years. Catherine calls him a cold-hearted serial murderer and wonders where he is. Lauren says she released him. She runs to the airport and finds Harold and the pilot dead. She hurries home, but Catherine is gone. After seeing the bunker's door open, she checks on Catherine and discovers her mother unconscious. Morgan switches off the light behind her as she checks on Catherine. He knocks her unconscious and bonds her. He tells her he poisoned her father and the truth about the past when she wakes up. Morgan tells her about the night he gave Catherine a pill and forced himself on her while Archer came there for his wife's aid and drove him to the bunker. But Morgan distracted Archer and caused them to collide with a pedestrian. It is also revealed that Morgan was the one who buried the body, despite Archer's objections. When Morgan blamed Archer for everything, Archer knocked him down and dragged him to the bunker, where he was assaulted. Lauren tries to convince him that she will help him get justice for what her family did to him. Morgan says he does not make deals and wants them to rot there miserably like he did for 30 years. He also shares his plan to go after the rest of their family and destroy the family's legacy using all of the secrets he knows. At this point, Catherine awakens and tells Morgan that she should have ended his life herself, prompting him to stop her. Lauren then calls him a pathetic lunatic, which infuriates him, and he assaults her and throws her against the walls. He then reveals himself to be her biological father, knocking the wind out of her. Catherine then grabs the gun and shoots him in the back of the head, burning it. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. She cannot remove the gag when she wakes up outdoors. She observes the lady using a gag to cross a river when she gets up. The lady glances at her and leaves. Behind her, Guy passes. She joins him at a large field box. Others approach the box. However, Guy opens it. He takes out a rack of pistols when a pig runs out. The field, including the previous lady, goes toward the box. She unlocks one person using the keys. They flee when someone begins firing at them. She is shot while thinking she is safe. One of the field players fires at the shooter but dies. Others hide. A lady rushes out of the house and falls into a ditch. The person who rushes to aid her finds her stabbed but alive. While helping her up, he stumbles on a landmine. She and he flee and explode. Another runner hides behind a fence. He nearly shoots the guy who opens the package. Two more people in blue shirts tell him he does not want their money. He just wants to know where he is. They tell him he is in Arkansas and give him a phone so he can call the police. When the woman takes a cookie, she chokes on it as if it were poisoned, and the pair throws a smoke bomb at them while wearing gas masks. The man kills the blue shirt before he can shoot them. They use the bomb to choke the other person and then kill him too. The woman complains about the gas store. After that, they clean up the area and get rid of the dead. The woman feels bad when she sees a wedding ring on that blue shirt. Her husband says it does not matter because he is a bad person and probably even says the N-word. When they get a call on the radio, a couple is arguing about racism, so they tell the woman on the other end who they killed, and she tells them that another wanted person is coming toward them as she walks toward the gas station. When she arrives, they are ready and smile at her. Crystal asks for a pack of cigarettes and emergency money, then asks where she is. The lady responds as she collects her change, but Crystal knows something is amiss and slaps them. She murders the guy first, then the lady with the shotgun from behind the bar. Crystal checks the gas station and finds the dead, then grabs some rubber bands and bullets, puts her coat down, and walks out. She checks out the truck in front of her and finds that the plates are fake Croatian plates. Then she finds a wire attached to the door that leads to a bomb. She hides in the trees when she hears the others talking on the radio she stole, saying they are looking for her because the couple from the crystal stops him and tells him it is set up. She tells him that by shooting the drone, he basically told them they were at the gas station. She then starts walking towards some train tracks she saw earlier. He goes after her and tells her he has an idea about why they are being hunted and why they are there. He apparently read a story about a group of literal elites who kidnap people and take them to a house to hunt them down. Crystal doesn't doubt his views. Military police search each car when the train stops abruptly. When the guy informs one of the policemen that he and his wife are Americans and that the migrants are crisis actors, the police inspect all of their firearms. The police do not speak English, so when one of the foreigners speaks to the guy in great English with an American accent, he claims they do not believe him, and the other goes insane. The immigrant advises him to calm down as everyone else hides. The guy grabs him and places a bomb in his trousers, exploding him. Crystal rides a vehicle to a refugee camp. An officer leads her to a desk and requests her paperwork. After asking where she is, she begins pondering. A US government agent appears and leads them into the woods. After Dawn tells him everything, the official is startled and declares he will summon the State Department and soldiers to hunt their pursuers. Crystal kills the odd man by knocking him unconscious, pushing him out of the vehicle, and stepping on him. She discovers a pistol under his jacket. Dawn is frightened since she murdered the official while looking through the trunk. When he goes inside, he realizes that the other person with her is also dead. She finds a map, and Dawn says he believes they are the only two people remaining. Dawn wants to drive away, but she tells him not to. She wants to use the map to find the people who are after them so she can get back at them. She tells him a horrifying story that her mother used to tell her. Suddenly, the pig shows up again at the tunnel. The people who are after them talk about what is and is not politically right. One of them is an expert who is a fighter. He tells him to stop, but all they do is laugh at him on the radio. They can hear Athena telling them to be quiet when one of them goes outside to pee. Dawn distracts him with the pig and Crystal kills him when he gets to a tree. When the group gets back to the bunker, they hear something outside. The soldier tells them what to do, but they do not do it very well. All of them are scared, so when Dawn drops the pig inside, they shoot it. The woman is angry that they killed the pig. Suddenly, Crystal kills one of the men and shoots at the other. She makes the soldier unconscious and then stabs the woman. She fights with one of the other guys over a gun, but he steals the bullets from her. She puts another bullet in the gun and shoots him. Then she goes to the shooter and kills the last one. She thinks she has them all, but then the man grabs her and they start fighting. Crystal beats him with a roof pipe, but does not kill him. Though alive, she calls the lady a hick. Dawn rushes in just as Crystal pulls out a gun and is ready to shoot her. He finds a pistol, and Crystal tells him to ask the lady why they were harming them. Crystal wants to murder her since she gave a foolish response, but Dawn stops her by stating she is a woman and should be rescued. Crystal asks the woman if she should be given pity just because she is a woman, and when the woman says no, Crystal kills her. Dawn goes crazy, and all of a sudden Athena's voice comes on the radio. She asks if he has Crystal, and when he says no, she points her gun at him. He says he is not one of them. Even though Athena keeps asking over the radio what is going on, she tells Dawn to kill Crystal. But even though he begs her not to believe the woman on the radio, she shoots him anyway. Crystal tells Athena that Dawn is dead, and Athena tells her to come get her. Crystal sits next to the soldier and talks to him politely until she asks where Athena is. She tells him she will not give up and presses on his wound to get him to tell her where she is hidden. He tells her what to do but warns her that she has been getting ready for the hunt for months. He is also killed by Crystal. In a flashback to a year ago, we see Athena's office where two co-workers are waiting for her. They talk about the hunt-related text message she got. She says that it was just a joke, but they tell her that some people think it is real. Athena laughs, but the guy persists. He keeps suggesting a PR. Nightmare tells her she must resign her work, and she begs for a list of people who have confessed she hunts people as a plot. 8 months before the hunt, the gang chooses participants in another flashback. Athena urges them on. The slide suddenly shows Crystal. When the guy exhibiting the slides reads what Crystal says about Athena, Athena becomes upset and makes Crystal her greatest enemy. Crystal walks toward her home now. Crystal sets the rifle down and enters the home when Athena informs her over the speaker that she will set off the C4 beneath the gate if she does not leave it there. Crystal cautiously enters the home and stares at the images of herself and others on Athena's wall as Beethoven plays. She is silent. Crystal and Athena appear unaware of their identities. Crystal mocks her for setting up the search for the wrong reasons. This completes the storyline. She has the wrong Crystal. Another Crystal with her last name shared the horrible Athena conspiracy claims online. Crystal pursues Athena with a knife. They battle violently, with similar power and intensity. Crystal throws everything she can at Athena, including a champagne bottle that Athena saves. Athena pursues Crystal upstairs with a shotgun after she kicks her over the fireplace. Crystal survives. Athena dies. She rises, eats toast, and cauterizes her wound. She washes and wears Athena's clothing and shoes. She departs with costly champagne. She sees Athena's private jet outside. On the aircraft, she informs the stewardess and captain that she murdered their employers and threatens them with a pistol. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Was a soldier on duty in Kenya when he got a word that a group of armed men had taken over a building. Apparently, it was also a delicate hostage situation. Ray knew it was going to be dangerous, but he didn't let that stop him from getting the job done. He stood by the door while his squad mates took cover behind him. Then suddenly chaos broke loose. The bad guys inside started shooting at them through the door. The officer in charge gave Ray an order: hold off on the breach. But instead of following orders like a good little soldier, Ray did something incredible. He threw a flashbang into their hideout, toggled his aimbot, and rushed inside. He shot every last one of those bad guys with pinpoint precision before making his way up to find the hostage. Once there, the bad guy demanded a helicopter. Ray obliged. But if he was going to call one in, he needed a phone, so the guy helpfully pointed one out with the shotgun. With the hostage now safe for just a moment, Ray springs into action, whipping out his Glock and taking care of business with the hostage secured. Ray looks down and finds he is wounded. Darn, and he almost got the no damage taken achievement too. When Ray came home from his mission, he was ready to see his wife and told his fellow soldiers that right there was what they were fighting for. Yes, his wife specifically, and he was ready to embrace her. His wife was a beauty, and they immediately celebrated his return with her. The next morning, Ray woke up alone and confused. Relatable. He fell around in the bed until he found a note that said, "I'm going out for breakfast." Ray washed up in the bathroom, then heard something coming from outside. Armed men broke into his room and spotted Ray's reflection through the mirror. They rushed in, but he fooled them with the old bathroom mirror. Bamboozle Bunny, and said they all proceeded to fight in an awfully cut chaotic sequence. To cap it off, this guy punches Ray in the arm. It's not very effective. Then he stumbles out of his room in search of his wife, Gina. He bumps into an innocent-looking guy, but then gets all woozy and collapses. The now not-so-innocent guy looms over Ray holding a needle. When Ray awoke, he had no idea where he was. He just knew that his hands were tied behind his back, and the room he was in was not friendly for vegans. Then a man appeared at the back of the room, the same man. He dons a tricked-out outfit before dancing towards him. Smooth. The man asked him who told him about the hostages in his previous mission, but Ray stays silent. So to up the stakes a little, the man brings out today's guest, Ray's wife. Now Ray is a bit more talkative, but still has nothing substantial to say. He claims he doesn't know, and just goes where his supporters tell him to. The man ends up believing. Ray relief wash over his face. But then, never mind, rip in peace. Ray is livid. But then he too goes to sleep forever until he wakes up again in a futuristic lab. Ray's eyes fluttered open, and he was overwhelmed with the unnecessary but cool lighting scheme of the room. He spots a woman, and her chest is more eye-catching than the usual variety. Later, Ray fully comes to and is visited by Dr. Emil Harding, and his assistant is the woman he already met, Katie. The doctor breaks the news Ray died, but they brought him back to suffer more in the land of the living. He doesn't believe it for a second, but when asked what his name is, he can't even remember. Dr. Emil is giving Ray a tour of the facility. Here, they create robotic tech for the military, like bionic limbs and exoskeletons. He gestures to a room full of machines that look like they belong in a laboratory from a sci-fi movie. Oh wait, Dr. Harding states that Ray is the greatest creation yet. Then he cuts Ray's hand with his cable, but only to demonstrate the remarkable capabilities of the nanites inside him. Not gonna lie, he had us in the first half. Ray looks down at his hand in awe. The nanites move around like insects, working swiftly to repair his skin. Not so much as a scar is left behind, but his emotional damage is still hurting. Dr. Harding implores him to forget the past and consider the possibilities of the future. In his case, he lost his arm to cancer and with it his career in tennis, so he invented robo-arms instead, which is way cooler. Right after Dr. Harding takes Ready to meet some other enhanced soldiers who are just as weird as he is. One of them has bionic eyes on his chest, and the other has bionic legs that help him run really fast. And of course there's Katie, who can breathe through a hole in her chest. Weird flex. But okay, instead of feeling inspired by all this, Ray comments that they're all a bunch of wounded soldiers, damaged goods. He goes up to his room to sleep and has nightmares about his wife. The memories are slowly coming back. Ray wakes up and decides to channel his frustration into something productive. He goes to the gym to blow off some steam, but instead of punching a bag, he punches through it. He's pretty proud of this new ability, but then realizes that he can't really use it effectively in a boxing match because you kill the other guy. So instead he tries out his new power on a concrete column, using it as a punching bag. The concrete begins cracking under the force of his blows. Ray busts out some more combos that doesn't look very safe. Ray finishes with a fantastic set of curls for the females. And just on cue, Katie swims next to him and does underwater karate, which looks nice but is not really useful in fighting. After drinking, a low pulsing sound fills the room. Katie grimly stares at a device on the wall, and Ree starts having vivid flashbacks of his wife and starts speaking the same words he did when he lost her. He snaps out of it, but now he knows what he needs to do: escape the facility and seek revenge on Martin X, the man who clapped his wife. But Dr. Harding would not let him. "Your body belongs to me," he told Ray through his built-in brain Bluetooth. An interesting choice of words. Ray says, "No, I do what I want." And with that, he used his cybernetic abilities to hack Martin's location, and then he stole a plane, and then he downloaded the flight manual to his brain, and finally he set this truck on a collision course for Martin for no reason other than it looks cool. The truck was filled with flour. Ray emerges and fires at Martin's car. The bulletproof glass is unfazed, but Ray is not. He gets popped and collapses to the ground, but not before placing a thermite canister in the car. It melts into the engine, disabling it. Ray recovers with his nanobot powers and bestows a beat down on Martin's henchman. He bends this guy's arms backwards, and even Martin is like, "Whoa, that wasn't called for." Meanwhile, Martin calls his buddy, and it seems like they were expecting this attack. As prepared as they were, they still underestimated the power of family. Ray returns from his vengeance mission and is picked up by his fellow warriors. He tells Katie he did what he had to do and is done. Katie claims she is too confused. Ray asks. Dalton blows up Ray's car, and they all walk away from the explosion without looking back because it is cooler that way. We cut to the lab, where Ray tries to get up, but has his motor functions disabled. Dalton proceeds with an expositional dump about the true nature of this arrangement. You see, he hates having to be Ray's babysitter, but this is always his favorite part. He leans into Ray's ear and tells him that Gina is alive. Ray cannot respond, but his eyes. Dalton says they use Ray's vengeance to kill their targets. He is basically a deadly wind-up toy soldier as his memory is wiped. We pan over to Dr. Harding, and he confronts Katie for going off script when she said, "I am done too." We learn that if she leaves this facility, her breathing gets turned off. She is reminded that this is the choice she made, but she just wishes Ray had a choice too. Katie is dismissed. Ray escapes again to kill his latest victim, Nick Barris. Dr. Harding and the others act out their lines, but Dalton gets tired of the repetition, representing the audience, speeding things up. Ray heads to Nick's fortified compound and plays dead. Then they let him in. Nick speaks with his tech guy, Wiggins, who has a device that will save the day, but Nick's not a great boss. He kidnapped Wiggins and forced him to work for free, so Wiggins is sparse on details on how to use the device, which we soon learn as an EMP ray closes in, but the bullets are no match for his. Ray kills Nick as he waits for the EMP to power up. Dr. Harding is glad the alarm did not go off and his last challenge has been overcome, or has it? The EMP goes boom, the lights go out for a mile, and Wiggins zaps Ray back to life. "I am sorry," as Wiggins explains that he is on his side. Ray recalls all the males who cheered for his wife and realizes that Dr. Harding is his ultimate goal. Ray sends Wiggins a sample of nanite to reverse engineer, and then he gets in a vintage whip that cannot be followed. He finds his wife and greets her, but his reality is gone. Gina went on and had her own family, so Ray disappeared bewildered. Ray leaves and starts driving through the city when an armored truck rams into him. So much for no tracking. The super soldier friends have turned to foes and hunted him down. Well, actually, Dalton kind of always was a jerk. Dalton takes off with great speed while Ivy uses drones to get a bird's eye view. Once Dalton catches up, he blasts Ray with anti-nene bullets that turn Ray's beefy python arm into a little noodle in retaliation. Katie submits that she makes it over to Wiggins' hideout and knocks him out with sleeping smoke, then proves equality is real by beating up these grown men back in the lab. Ray chats with Dr. Harding in a virtual construct, and then we get a solid 30-second flex of this movie's VFX budget. Very cool. Now that all of Harding's targets are gone, Ray will have his nanites extracted and sold off, while Katie returns from her mission and Dalton rubs it in that they caught she invades Ray's fake memories, discloses the reality, and signals Wiggins to take over. She kept them to herself. He fights the other man and wins, freeing her. Ray headed for Harding, but Dalton and Tin have something to say about it. They gear up with their new drip and continue with an anxiety-inducing elevator battle till they beat Ray and he falls off the building, just joking. Ray and Tibbs fall again as Dalton slides down with his bionic arms and breaks the lines. Tibbs begs him to stop, but all he cares about is taking Ray down. Sadly, Tibbs falls due to gravity. Then Ray defies gravity and launches himself towards Dalton, sending them both plummeting down during freefall. Ray powers up by overclocking his nanites, loses his cool tan, and gets some RGB lighting in his chest instead. Then he turbo punches Dalton, rip in peace. Ray's vitals are surging through the roof, so Wiggins urges him to retreat, but he has unfinished business. Ray keeps marching, so Harding throws a grenade at him, scattering the nanites. As Harding prepares to fire again, Ray's cloud of nanites dismantles the round before it reaches him, but he is out of juice. Harding claims victory, but not so fast. Ray's holding the explosive, he drops it, and it lands perfectly. Imagine if it did not land perfectly. He definitely does not survive this. On the contrary, days later, Ray wakes up next to Wiggins, completely healed and memory intact. It turns out they managed to bring him back to life for a second time using the nanites and even added some bonus stamina points. This time, having completed the main quest and reached max level. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Mia kicks Samantha out of her room when the party ends. She invites a gentleman and asks Samantha to return after 2 hours. Samantha agrees, astonished. She watches TV in the living room when 2 men approach. They invite her to their yearly plunge in a swimsuit. Samantha gladly accepts the offer. She starts school tomorrow. All the students gaze at her there. One of the men makes a joke after the lecturer begs them to focus. Samantha relaxes when everyone laughs. Samantha chases the gentleman after class and praises him for saving her. He leaves after chatting with her. Samantha warms to him. Mia suddenly joins her and tells her the man is incredibly good-looking and that she should date him. Samantha laughs and they leave. They attend the plunge, a frat party. Mia enters with style. She merges fast. Samantha sits in a corner staring at everyone, feeling out of place. The president's entrance song plays, and a number of males dance in front of her. They move seductively, shocking Samantha. Mia is furious as everyone applauds. She dislikes Samantha's attention even when she is doing nothing. One person has a pistol. Bach and his squad instantly attack him. Some bodyguards take Samantha while others interrogate the guy. He had a water cannon all along. Samantha storms to her father's office after this. She does not care if everyone is shocked by her little swimming suit. Liz attempts to soothe her, but Samantha wants to see the president. He is busy when Liz goes to fetch him. Samantha threatens to flee forever. Liz informs the president Samantha is unhappy. He eventually leaves his conference to see his daughter. After seeing Samantha in such scant attire, he acts normal and says nothing. Samantha moans about everything when she sees him. She says she cannot establish friends because of the Secret Service agents following her. The time. Her father encourages her to bear it since the election is coming and her life may be in jeopardy. Samantha yells in frustration and leaves. President Mackenzie grants her request after realizing how much this has affected her. Samantha squeals as Liz delivers the good news. She returns to her room relieved. The following day, Samantha just has 2 security who follow her from afar. Samantha and Mia pass a large demonstration against President Mackenzie. The leader claims the Mackenzie family is affluent and only understands how to run away from issues. Samantha declines the argument. Samantha says they have free speech when Mia invites her to talk. Mia scoffs and takes her away to have fun. On a slide, Samantha doubts Mia's advice to have fun. Mia leaps and slides down the slope while everyone cheers. Sam is inspired. she meets the person she thanked previously. She and James introduce themselves again. Mia slides down after James and Sam leave on the ramp. Everyone has fun. Liz calls Samantha the following morning, enraged. Sam's leaping and sliding images became viral. Liz scolds Sam for his irresponsibility and claims the president is furious. After hearing that, Mia rolls her eyes and urges Sam to hang up, but Sam persists on talking to her father. Mia grabs the phone as Samantha's father chastises her for abusing her independence. She lectures President Mackenzie about parenting. He ignores her, anger and manipulates her. Mia is thrilled when he appreciates her charisma. She hangs up smiling pleased. After Samantha laughs, Mia says the president is excellent at his job. Reporters question Sam the following day. Protesters yell at her too. While Samantha flees upstairs, Bach and Dylan struggle to keep the media away. She knocks on the door and begs Mia to allow her in, but receives no answer. Desperate, she goes into the RA's room and sees James. He is RA James' plans once Samantha informs him about the protests. He requests her wear his huge sweater and headgear. She agrees immediately. The hoodie and hat conceal them, and they flee. Protesters and Bach do not recognize Samantha. They chat at a pizza establishment, both laugh and jest. Sam knows she likes James. She re-sniffs his hoodie. They then compete in IQ. They trade fascinating information and are equally gifted. This continues until an elderly woman approaches. She requests a photo with Sam, the president's daughter. Samantha enables her, but the media soon discovers her. James tugs her away as they chase her for a photo. To avoid the journalists, the two run through narrow streets. They enter a cinema. They are unrecognizable since it is dark. Samantha says she has never had so much fun, and James urges her to violate the rules more. Samantha's affections for him grow while they watch the movie. Samantha prefers hiding in James' room at night, while her guards stand outside. They converse about beautiful things all night. Sam tells Mia everything in the morning. She says she likes James but is not sure whether he does. Mia writes a letter to James requesting to meet under Sam's identity to find out. Sam is delighted and thinks about him. Friday night, students start a massive campus bonfire. Mia and Sam attend expecting James. James is absent from a massive celebration. Samantha tells Mia that he probably felt awful for her and does not like her, but Mia reassures her that he simply needs time and would come around. Mia stares and smiles at a man. Samantha wonders what is up, and Mia says she has loved that guy since middle school. They went to school together, so she eventually asked him out. She is scared since he reciprocated. Sam congratulates Mia as he approaches. He talks to Samantha instead of Mia. Mia flees in pain. Samantha feels bad as the gentleman chases Mia to chat to her. Mia immediately arranges a massive party in her room. Mia giggles while her buddies tease Samantha. She scrawls on Sam's family photo. Samantha arrives in time. She had fun, but notices Mia doodling. Family photographs. Mia informs her this is not functioning when she asks. She says Sam is nothing remarkable and only receives attention because of her father. Sam calms her, but Mia becomes angrier. She urges Samantha to speak out instead of blindly obeying commands. Thus they fight. The dispute escalates into yelling. Mia runs into her room and closes the door as Samantha takes the images and leaves. James discovers Sam sleeping outdoors on the sofa the following morning. He awakens her and asks what happened. Samantha acknowledges that her status screwed people up. Sighing, she says her life will never be normal. James assures her that is okay. Sam nods as he apologizes for not meeting her. She mocks her inactivity. Samantha blushes as James jumps. James asks her out, and they slip out of the campus without her guards to date. They discuss their experiences in a lakeside boat. James eventually tells Sam that his father has never been proud of him, and all he has done is satisfy him. Samantha understands James, and their date goes well. They visit a neighboring amusement park at night. Samantha says she likes him and can be herself with James. James returns her sentiments, and they play games. James gives Sam a gift after winning a match. She is glad James defeated her and did not let her win only to satisfy her. Sam recognizes James' tiny actions to make her smile all night. They return to their dormitories once the day concludes. They nervously stroll through the corridor. After chatting, they split. Samantha feels left out. She approaches James and shouts out. James turns and she kisses him. Sam rushes to her room after they say goodnight. She eagerly informs Mia she kissed James with her eyes closed. She wakes up to Mia kissing a man. Sam apologizes for the commotion and starts to go, but Mia urges her to remain. Mia begs him to go and hugs Samantha tightly. Samantha apologizes for her annoyance and smiles. She tells Mia she realizes how difficult living with her is. Mia laughs and takes her. An energetic girl answers her door knock. After seeing Sam, the girl screams and squeals. Linda, Mia's initial roommate, is the girl. Linda stops them and plays her trombone. Samantha and Mia stare uneasily. Linda laughs and cries nonstop. She plays trombone constantly. Samantha and Mia exchange knowing glances and express their gratitude for finding one another. Roommates reconnect. Samantha approaches Liz for help the next morning. Locke and Dylan invite Mia and James. They are puzzled. Sam appears in front of a massive plane. Samantha grins at their questions. All three board the aircraft when she invites them. Guards surround them as they enter. Charles commands them. Charles brings them to a private aircraft room to meet their wants. Mia flirts with Charles quickly, laughing. Samantha praises Mia and James for being patient inside. Mia's nails are painted by Marjorie. James feels embarrassed seeing so many people racing about him. Samantha tells him their location is a surprise. They arrive and meet world-famous designer Vera Wang. Samantha informs James that a tuxedo will suit him. Finally ready, the three attend a ball. Press hounds them there. James feels awkward while Mia enjoys the attention. Samantha rushes to her parents as they enter the huge ballroom. James salutes as Mia enthusiastically meets the president and first lady. James interrupts Samantha's boyfriend introduction and welcomes them. Sam's parents leave to welcome visitors after meeting her pals. Samantha is outraged but shrugs it off. She takes James dancing. James requests a private conversation and Sam agrees. Samantha is transfixed by him as he asks what she is doing. She enjoys everyone glancing at them. Sam resists James' invitation to talk privately. Two elegantly dance. Sam says she has always wanted to do this. She is finally doing what she wants. James joins in. The room is awestruck by the young pair. President Mackenzie then speaks on stage. Party starts with clapping. Dancing and joy ensue. Even James appears more relaxed. Mia likes her date. Sam answers press inquiries at the conclusion, but demonstrators attack her. A huge automobile smashes dangerously near to her, causing mayhem. James grabs Sam and dashes inside the ballroom. He drives her to a hidden chamber with a vehicle. James informs Samantha that they have already abducted Mia. Help her. James grabs his walkie-talkie and puts her in the vehicle. At that moment, Samantha understands everything was a lie. James was only a covert agent. She is heartbroken because everything she thought was normal was phony. Finally led home, her dad wonders whether she is alright. Samantha had enough. She attacks him, saying she feels ashamed for being so stupid and clueless. President Mackenzie apologizes, saying he did everything to protect her. He informs her that he receives hundreds of threats against her every day and cannot let anything happen to his daughter. Sam cries. As her father urges her not to worry, she cries. If she wants, he will remove James. Samantha cares for James but is frustrated because no one has been honest with her. She does not want him fired. She tells her father James can remain. Samantha returns home, unhappy. Mia awaits her. She tells her everything, even how no one has loved her for being Samantha, not the president's daughter. James likes her, Mia says. He loved her despite working. Samantha considers it dumb and says James did that to persuade her. Mia's idea follows. To make James jealous, she suggests Sam date someone else. If he does, people will know he really likes Sam. Samantha acts normal the next day. She is not upset. James, like her guardians, stands close to her. James praises Samantha for not firing him after he deceived her as she eats lunch. Sam nods dismissively. James says he regrets tricking her, but Sam puts on her earbuds and insists everything is okay. She then does everything to make him envious. He watches Samantha go on many dates. She attempts to demonstrate James she is unaffected. She meets a man in a provocative attire one night. She becomes drunk and flirts with her date. James asks Bach and Dylan to take her, but they refuse. Samantha then dances madly on a table. Mia senses Sam's mental state and begs Bach to remove her. James feels irritated when they do nothing. He strikes the cheerleader and takes Samantha. He rejects Sam's pleas to put her down. James encourages her to behave when she says she no longer trusts him. He wants to work correctly. James assures her she is not like this after the catastrophe makes him furious. His Sam was not her. Samantha says she is alone. James brings her to her dorm without responding. He kisses her forehead and puts her on the bed before departing. Samantha hates this. She scolds him for acting. She says he can stop lying. James tells her she is great and leaves, but Sam stops him. She says he harmed her deeply. James expresses himself. He says he has nothing for her. He says that she is not his. Samantha rolls her eyes and wonders what would have happened if she had been an average girl. Samantha continues asking James, who evades. He says he would have liked her if she were an average girl. She never will be. James says he cannot help liking her. This response stuns Samantha. Reporters crowd Sam's dorm the following morning. She received non-stop calls from Liz after her dance on the table became viral. Mia answers all calls as Samantha sleeps. After waking up, she apologizes to Mia. Mia praises her crazy dancing and offers her the phone. Liz chases Samantha when she answers the phone. The president refuses to talk to her father. He refuses to speak to her. Multiple Sam and James news stories circulate. Sam visits James but finds him replaced. Her agency was new. This disappoints and guilts her. Sam takes her morning class, James absent. Her and James are constantly discussed, which bothers her tremendously. She runs to clear her brain, but breaks down crying midway through the track. Her condition saddens the guardians. Sam comes home to discover her mother seated on her bed. Her mother informs her that her little table dance definitely swayed the voting and attempts to explain that Sam always needs to act with elegance and class since that is their life. Sam protests, but her mother shuts her off. She says she will not quarrel or fight. The First Lady orders Sam to quit college immediately and join the campaign. Sam had no option but to agree. She returns home and tries to appear normal, but it is not. Her parents no longer talk to her, and their pleasant activities are gone. She joins the campaign and pretends they are the ideal family. After Samantha leaves college, James is furious. His recklessness jeopardizes his employment, so a board of officers questions him. They insult him and question why he should keep his job. James defends himself, but the board blasts him for jeopardizing Samantha's life. James is suspended and urged to consider other jobs since he may lose his. Sam regains her composure and acts pleased in one advertising. President Mackenzie approaches. He says he understands she is sad but cannot assist her right now. Sam must then behave maturely. Samantha rebels against her father. She says she has fulfilled all their wishes. After understanding they needed her, she quit college and joined him. Sam replies that he must stop stalking her if he wants her to behave like an adult. She leaves. She is correct, and the president calms down. He is glad she is speaking out, but watching his daughter in misery breaks his heart. After being suspended, James drives home as the president and First Lady finally campaign on stage. He is obsessed with Sam. The president thinks over his daughter's words at home. She is usually around him, but no one's asked her what she wants. After that, he pays more attention to Sam and sometimes seeks her opinion. He brings her a chocolate cake, and they eat it together. Sam asks her dad to check on James. After agreeing, the president asks her whether she loves him. Samantha grins and says she loves being herself with him. She assured him she could enjoy him without worrying about her reputation. Samantha's dad pays attention. Sam says she loves James, and her father grins. Sam's father wins re-election. Everyone applauds this good news. A massive Mackenzie family celebration is held. Samantha and President Mackenzie dance. Mia stands with her lover. She encourages Sam with music. Samantha tells her father she loves and feels at home with him while dancing. Emotional, her father kisses her cheeks. Samantha notices James behind her as he twirls her. He is in uniform again, shocking her. President Mackenzie leads James to the ballroom center and leaves. James approaches Samantha and clutches her waist. James dismisses Samantha's protests. He dances with her. Sam becomes free, and they forget everything else. Dance all night and find serenity. Liz and Bach grin. James apologizes for everything and gives her a key after the dance. He says the key will take her on her next vacation. Samantha is puzzled but accepts and says goodbye. James bids farewell and she leaves. Samantha flees the ballroom but regrets her error. James realizes he loves Sam at that moment. They chase each other. James initiates a passionate kiss as they stand face to face. Sam kisses back, and they get entangled. James guards President Mackenzie. Samantha departs after requesting that he take care of her father. Dylan informs James that Sam will return after spring break as she leaves. He bids James well in his new position and tells him not to fall for the president. Samantha contemplates James as she leaves the ballroom. She sees a little automobile ahead. Sam is thrilled since she has always desired a vehicle instead of huge ones driven by professional warriors. She drives to college excitedly. She discovered home after leaving home. Sam goes to college while James guards the white mansion and waits for her return. The end. Hi sexy, come and watch till the end. A dinner party outside a home begins the narrative. It is Nick's birthday. Nick's mom addresses his dad's lateness in her speech. Nick rises to cut his face-shaped cake. He is adorable and bikes to school. He did homework for someone at school. After handing the man the assignment, his girlfriend creeps up on him and asks if he can come to a party tomorrow night, but he claims he will be busy. 2 men and a female attempt to acquire money from this person who owes them. Pete, Nick's closest friend, was scratched. Nick advises Pete to stand up for himself. Nick defends Pete when he claims he can't. He repays Pete and whispers, "He said, 'You are so broken, dude,' to Annie." Annie caught him after a few seconds. After punching him in the face, they wait to see the principal and have a chat. She tells him he is not better than her since he sells essays. He admits that he's a hypocrite. Then the principal comes and sends Annie home. Then he turns to Nick and tells him to stop wasting his time on lost souls like Annie Newton. She has no future. You don't let us down, he says, and Nick's only reply is, "Can I leave now?" Then we see Annie back home. Her stepmother has made her brother dinner, so she confronts her about it. This causes an argument between her dad and stepmom, but Annie just goes upstairs and makes a sandwich for her brother Victor. Victor asks her if she'll be going out tonight, and she says yes. You can see the boy's mood change over at Nick's house. We see Pete arrive and tease him about getting beat up by a girl. Relatable. He now asks Nick about that same party, and Nick says he won't even be around by tomorrow. He'll be in London for the writers program. His mom doesn't even know, but he's going anyway. According to him, she's always trying to micromanage him and be on top of everything, but he's not going to let her have this one. Now we see Andy get in a car with her boyfriend Marcus, and they're off to rob a jewelry store, and he smashes the glass, grabs some jewelry, runs back to the Mercedes which Marcus just stole, and he drives off the next morning, and he gets ready for school and is leaving with the bag. She ignored Marcus' request to leave the bag. He acted after she said he wouldn't. He dialed 911. A rat. Annie placed the bag in her school locker. Pete glared at her as she closed the locker. The officers checked her locker and discovered a jeweler. She was detained. She called Marcus. After the call, she leaves the station determined to avenge the person she was sure handed her in to the police. After Pete says farewell to Nick, we head to Nico's home, where his mom has learned about his London ticket. She confronts him when the airline calls to modify his travel schedule. She points out that he has had the ticket for weeks, so Nick is in his room getting ready to depart. He pockets a watch. Someone hits Pete as he runs. Annie's boys escort him to Annie. She hits him because she feels he has betrayed her. He confesses out of desperation. Nick asked his lady at the party if she wanted to fly to London with him since his flight was delayed. He hands her their ticket and wishes her well. He is not a snake. He believed Nick would have left the country by now. Pete exits the automobile and explains his actions, but no one is listening. He grabs Nick and demands, "Who is broken now?" "You are," Nick says. Nick has balls. They bury him after a couple more blows and a heavy kick to the face kill him. Nick's watch slips unnoticed. Before, Pete was forgivable. He informs Marcus. She says she applauded the man who sold her out, and he has a shotgun mark on his face because he knows it was not him. He is now wondering why she came to him knowing he was on parole. "Annie, why'd you come here?" he asked and sent her away. She feels betrayed. "Wait till you find out that he is the one who sold you out." She smashes some stuff in his workshop, gives him an ironic kiss, and leaves. Then, early the next morning, we see her burning her clothes from last night. You will not believe what we see next. Nick, he walks out of the woods looking clean and fresh, walks to school and sits in class, but no one can see him because he is invisible and relatable, so even though he is sitting right there and can hear everything they are saying, they use that opportunity to say some things about him, including his girl, who calls him pretentious and says he is always trying to make himself feel important. Then he shouts out to his mom. He can hear her talking to the detectives about him, but she cannot hear him. He is running home now. On his way, he clambers into someone in the school hallway, gets hit by a car, and gets run over by a truck. But nothing really happens in real life. He gets home and sees detectives all around his house doing everything to find him. He tries to put his mother out of her misery by telling her he is dead. But of course she can't. The romp is on the roof, questioning what she was doing last night, and Nick is there to monitor her lies. But he also finds out that Annie slapped him because she felt he ratted her out and pushes her off the roof, which does not work. The detectives take a search party out to the woods where Nick's body was dumped, and Annie calls Pete and tells him to be there. Nick hears that and gets visibly sick. He's in his room now, and he can see his mom come in and go through his stuff. She's reading a poem he wrote, and he's reading along with her. His pet bird joins him in visible paradise. He holds it in his hands, and after some seconds it disappears. As a revelation for him, he says, "I'm alive," and he runs straight to where his body was dumped. He's trying to get the search party to find him, but he's not having much luck with the humans. The dog, however, first seemed like he could see Nick, but he turned away at the last second. The dog helped find Nick's watch, though now Peter's reporting to Annie and the rest of the gang. He feels they'll soon be found out, so he says he'll go to report to the police, and he tells him if he reports he goes to jail too. Meanwhile, Nick is there listening to everything, and he now sneaks back into her house, and she's trying to pack up her stuff and run away. Victor wakes up and begs if she will go forever like Mom. He cries. This guy softens her rock-hard exterior. She wisely advises Victor not to be like her. She leaves when her dad instructs her to, but she promises to return and clap for her younger brother if something happens to him. Choppers and an ambulance join the woodland hunt. Nick has 2 or 3 days left, according to a specialist. Nick's torso and fingers move, proving he is alive. The cop Brian goes to speak with Marcus and asks him if he was with Annie on Tuesday night, to which he replies yes. He then asks him if he was with her the night before when she robbed the jewelry store, to which he replies no. Brian knows Marcus has been on parole for 8 months, but he does not stress that too much. He drops his card and tells Marcus to call him if he sees Annie because he wants to talk to her about a missing person. Nick is yelling at his mom and shaking her, spilling everything on the table and slamming a chair through the window, but none of it really occurs. His mom begins sobbing and yelling Nick's name a few minutes later. Marcus grabs Pete in the downpour and places a pistol to his chest. Marcus lies to Pete about the cops pursuing him. He shows Pete where the corpse was placed in the woods. The following day, Marcus attempts to fool Annie into going to a spot to clap her, but she uses something and phones Pete to go instead. She refused to wake up for Nick. Detective Kate pursued Pete. Pete is on the bridge with the 2 men as Annie watches from a distance, but Marcus arrives from behind her and places a pistol in her back, taking her to the bridge where the rest of the guys are and telling Pete to go home. He rushes home, happy to be asked. Marcus says they have to move fast because Pete has a tail, and he is correct. But the police are already here, and Ethan takes a shotgun for Marcus and points it at the officers, but they are surrounded now. But Annie has one heck of a survivor and climbs out and escapes. Peter Parker would be very proud while she is running away. Nick screams, "We'll catch you, Annie." And it seems like she heard him because she turns around and yells something, so Nick goes, "She heard me." She goes to a club and sells a ring that belonged to Marcus to some guy. After he pays her, she decides to stay back and do a little dancing. She takes off her hoodie and beanie and is now doing the signature white woman dance while Nick is just watching her the next day. Yet she leaves. She sneaks into school at night to place money for Victor in her locker. Nick tells her he is dying, and she is the only one who can rescue him. He yells her name in her brain, and she turns around but sees no one. She is unhappy, so Nick does not look while she showers. Harry will be ghostly and oversleeping or not sleeping at all. Well, now that we visit Annie and Nick's home, she is going through his old photographs and becoming sentimental. Nick is happy as his corpse decays in that pit. But Nick's mom destroys any romanticism, and he hurries out of the home and directly towards the woods to where they dump Nick's body and Viola. The body is not there. Nick tells Annie that someone moved his body and asks her to thank them. She sees the substances she found with Pete days earlier and realizes that Pete was here, so she goes after Pete at school. Pete tells her that Nick did not even rat her out in the first place, and he confesses that he and Marcus moved the body. She ambushes him in his car outside a police station. Then she takes him to a precipice and tells him to go on his knees for a role reversal moment. Then she points a gun at him while Pete is trying to self-delete. Nick is begging him not to do it, but Pete cannot even hear a thing. But here's the beautiful thing. While Pete is in that transition zone where he is not dead but not fully alive, he sees Nick, and they can see and talk to each other. Nick is now asking Pete where he moved the body at the same time, and he is asking Mark is the same question. They both answer at the same time. After they do, Pete's parents rush into his room and find him in the state he is in, and Annie just leaves Marcus and turns around to go find Nick. But not clapping him turns out to be a bad idea because Marcus stands up and shoots her. She does not die, though she has enough in her to shoot him and stand up and call detect. Kate orders the guards to seal the gates and search for Nick. Everyone rushes to Brian. They hurry him into an ambulance as Annie watches. She gets into her vehicle and blacks out while bleeding. In the evening, a policeman awakens her and orders her out of the vehicle, but she drives away. As predicted, they chase her to the hospital. Nick's mother watches doctors rescue him. Annie gets caught by the police, but Nick's voice in her thoughts whispers, "I need you, Annie, I need you," which motivates her. She accelerates past the police barrier. She takes her turn after parking the automobile. Naturally, the hospital where his body is being operated on, Nick's mother says you have nerve when she sees her. Nick tries to play peacemaker, but you know mama can't hear you, so Annie has to do it all on her own. She says she just has to talk to Nick, but Nick's mom lands a slap on her face, and he then tells her that Nick is here, that she can feel him and hear him, that she knows what he wants. Of course, she doesn't believe her, so on Nick's directive, and he tells Nick's mom about that time she was in his room reading his poems and how he was with her, that she now asks Annie what she wants, and then he says she just needs to see Nick, she can help him, but his mom says no, and he hands for her gun and says she knows she can bring him back. She finally lets her go in, and he is now running her fingers through Nick's body. She apologizes to him and begs him not to go. She takes off her necklace, which once belonged to her mom, puts it in his hand while she joins him on the bed and snuggles with him. When she does that, the invisible Nick disappears, and the real Nick wakes up and calls Annie's name, and he says she wanted to do one good thing, and Nick tells her she did, she saved him. Then Annie taps out. Then we see Victor playing with a toy plane, and Nick shows up and has a conversation with him. Victor says his sister died, and Nick says they should send her a message. Nick writes and flies Victor's brief message, "Hey Annie," aboard the aircraft. The end.